Nestled in the Tennessee Valley, Cleveland, Tennessee might just seem like another southern town, but this city has quite a story to tell. While it might not have the tourist-heavy crowds of a Nashville or a Chattanooga, Cleveland has its own charm, complete with a rich history. Ties to the Cherokee Nation and a name borrowed from an American war hero. So, grab your sweet tea and let's dive into Cleveland, Tennessee, where history blends with local quirkiness. And you'll probably hear the phrase, bless your heart, at least twice. Join us today as we do just a little Splorin. Well, it all started with the spring. No, not the kind of spring that makes you want to frolic through the wildflowers, but a literal underground spring. You see, back in 1863, Andrew Taylor, who was Cleveland's first settler, stumbled upon a patch of land where fresh water bubbled up to the surface. Now, naturally, being the 1800s, Taylor wasn't looking for scenic vistas or tourist potential. He just wanted some water. I built a log cabin near what is now Taylor Spring Park, and Cleveland, Tennessee was born. Not exactly the rags to riches origin story, but hey, you've got to start somewhere. Now, of course, Cleveland's early history wasn't all sunshine and clear water. No, the town's foundation is tangled with one of the darkest chapters in American history, the forced removal of the Cherokee people. You see, just a few miles away from Cleveland, Fort Cass served as the holding ground during the Trail of Tears. It's where thousands of Cherokee were detained before being marched westward towards Oklahoma. That's right, Cleveland might have fresh water, but it also has a past that's just a little bit more bitter than the sweet tea.
The unfortunate reality is that the respect that we're starting to see for the Cherokee has come far too late. Obviously, the area has not necessarily been very kind to the Cherokee, and percentage-wise, there's very few Cherokee left in the area because they were forced out of this entire region. If you're familiar with the Trail of Tears, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It is good to see them getting recognition now, but it seems like a little bit of a pittance.
But this isn't the type of town that lets a dark past define it. In true pick-yourself-up-by-your-bootstraps fashion, Cleveland grew in the years that followed and incorporated in 1838.
Kind of an interesting note. Right over here we have a plaque that talks about this area, Cleveland, Tennessee, during the Civil War. And this general area, as opposed to quite a few of the areas that we visited in the South, tends to have fallen more into the Union side in terms of its sympathies. It was, in fact, held by Confederates for quite a while. Finally reversed, the Union came in and took over, but they were, in fact, a Union sympathizing city in the middle of the South. So, not the easiest thing to do, obviously, during that period of time.
From Civil War skirmishes to the rise of industry, Cleveland has never really been one to shy away from change. You might think that a town with such deep historical ties would be a sleepy relic, but Cleveland today is anything but stagnant. The city has embraced modern life while keeping its history close to heart. Just take a stroll down Ocoee Street, where the old and the new blend like sweet tea and unsweet tea, although we both know which one of them is better.
Now there are, of course, reminders that we are in the South.
Kiss my grits!
For my historical vehicle people, locally raised beef, pork, poultry, and eggs, Valley Farm, look at that truck. That is incredible, and it looks like not only is it a historical vehicle, but it is still a working vehicle. You could also tell that this downtown area is being reclaimed. They got Trailhead Bicycle Company, the Quilt and More, Hyder Hangout Fabric.
I don't know what that means.
Merle Norman, and Wacky Waving Inflatable Arm Tube Man.
Waved his arm!
Providing you today with all the rhythm and grace that I'm no longer capable of. We have moved just past that area, and as you can see, it kind of tapers off a little bit as we go forward. Now, I'm not sure exactly why that area seems a little bit segregated in terms of the population, if you will. But there are a couple of other things I want to show you on this road that are absolutely beautiful, including this area right here, Mash and Hops Brewery, with a absolutely beautiful outdoor area. Quick poster right here. Go to mainstreetcleveland.com for everything going on downtown. If you are all interested, there's a QR code. You can take a screenshot right now and then check it out yourself. I love the look of that building over there. It looks very out of place in this area. Actually, it looks like something that you would find in New York rather than here in Cleveland, Tennessee, but absolutely gorgeous. Looks like it's kind of roped off right now as well. Definitely some construction going on around it. Also, I've noticed there are plenty of motorcycles going through downtown today. Looks like this rather large building that took up 2 blocks is the Cleveland Police Service Center. Also, not open today, but it's not really what I would call a tourist building anyways. That being said, I see something just across the street that might be a little bit more up our speed. The Back Alley Gallery. I have to say that particularly reminds me of DeLand, Florida. And I've got a video that we've taken in DeLand previously at night. They had their own artisan alley, if you will. And if you want to check it out, I've got it right up above there. You can click it, take a look. Let's check out what Cleveland has for us on that level. Before we walk down there, I want to point out this little store on the entrance area. Rebel. I can't tell what is going on because it is closed, of course, being a Sunday, but that is an interesting front window, isn't it? But let's not get too distracted. Welcome to the Back Alley Gallery. And it looks like in this case, it is an entire alley of public art. Let's check it out, shall we? They have turned this water pipe into what kind of looks like its own art installation. It's a cross between a street light, a water pipe, and a tree, housing birds and squirrels. And right next to that, pinpoint art. Wildflowers, if you will. Now I'm noticing I'm not seeing a whole lot of plaques or really any signage as to what this stuff is or who created it. And maybe, to a degree, that's the point. I have to say, that was unexpected, but very cool. Like so much else in the area, Billy's Sweet Treats is closed today. But I gotta say, they've done a very good job of making it look very inviting. Here, right across the street from Billy's Sweet Treats, we have Willow Bend Curated, which looks like it's primarily a selection of Southern-influenced candles, t-shirts, body scrubs, lotions, things like that. And right next door, this property has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States Department of the Interior. It is the Lambert and Company's concrete building. Doesn't really have any explanation as to why it is on the Register of Historic Places, but check it out. I'm sure they would be happy for you to come wandering in at any point to look around.
That's not going to work for me.
Very cool cut-through street. This is North Ocoee Street, and this oak-shaded area looks a little bit more like, something you might find in Savannah or certain areas of Atlanta. This is the Bench Jewelers. Not open, much like anything else. But I want to show you this amazing window display that they've got set up here. This is absolutely incredible. Look at the gnome or the goblin or the whatever he is. This is definitely a place I would come check out next time I'm in town when it's open. Right next to that, you have the Ocoee Cigar Company and the Ocoee Cigar Lounge, and as you can see, they have used the image from the Cherokee chieftain statue. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but regardless, it's here. Right next door is this door, the Loft Salon. I believe that is their sign to say go up here for a loft salon, perhaps up there. And of course, some attorneys at law right next door. This, honestly, this part right here reminds me a lot of Philadelphia. You've been to Philly, old Philadelphia. You know what I'm talking about. The fact that this is their sign certainly doesn't hurt that either. That all butts up against the Flanagan building. And apparently this is a very historical building in and of itself. Ruth Regina Flanagan, looks like born 1917, died 1985, raised 15 children, 2 siblings, and served in the spars during World War I.
That sounds awful.
And as you can see here, she certainly had a large family. And this building right here commemorates that. As you reach the end of Ocoee, you find Central Avenue, and right across from us here on Central Avenue is Lee University. It's, again, pretty quiet today, as is the rest of the city, but this is a small Christian university here in Cleveland, Tennessee. Very nice looking university, beautiful. Much more quiet than the universities that I'm used to. It's a Christian university on Sunday, so they are probably a church. Or they're supposed to be. I think. I'm not entirely sure what the rules for Lee University are, but I'm going with church. Starting to pick up here just a little bit. Sadly. Right across the street we have St. Luke's Episcopal Church. Absolutely beautiful. Stunning rock work on this church. Right in front of us, we have stumbled onto the downtown wig studio.
He's nice, bet.
Before I walked in front of the windows, you know I had to turn the camera on. Let's see what a wig studio looks like. That's a lot of different hairstyles. Most of which I haven't seen, but tell me that this one right here doesn't look like a short hair Jennifer Aniston cut. Looks like we have some gift stores here, including freeze-dried candy and candy-colored clothing. They are not open, but when they do, they've got some garbage waiting for them. And how about this? This is the Broad Street United Methodist Church. Again, absolutely beautiful stonework on this building. Right over here we have the Gardener's Market, and apparently they serve fresh squeezed lemonade served with pleasure. That is honestly the creepiest mascot I think I have ever laid eyes on. But it does make me want lemonade. Too bad it's Sunday, no lemonade for you. Freshly squeezed lemonade served with pleasure. Okay, this guy has a lot of pleasure. You can see there's a very cool old British telephone booth in there too. So it looks like not only is it lemonade and coffee and tea, but they've got some gifts that are available for purchase as well.
And pleasure.
Just past our rather creepy, pleasurable lemonade friend, there's this little alley, and I want to point out as I walk past it, it's not really called out a whole lot, but it's a very interesting piece of public art. And right over here, there is a note about who that is, and that is James S. Hancock. He was apparently a prolific photographer, and a lot of the downtown Cleveland historic photos were taken by this gentleman. And this area right here is dedicated to Mr. Hancock. We have now made our way back up to 2nd Street. As you can see, some very ornate wrought iron work. This property has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places. Again, doesn't really specifically say what for, but from the look of things, the architecture alone would probably be enough to qualify. This is worth noting, the Sam H. Horner Jr. OD, Sam H. Horner the third OD optometrist, they are practicing out of this particular portion of the building. You'll see their name right there on the floor, and if you go over here you can see they have apparently, well, their family apparently has been practicing here for 120 years, and that was, by the way, 22 years ago. So that's quite the accomplishment and quite the building. Looking across the street, I see a few things that I definitely want to take a look at. Here on the corner of 2nd Street and Ocoee, here at the Bradley County Courthouse. First of all, I want to point out this very ornate marble monument to the folks who gave their lives from the area in Korea, Vietnam, or the Gulf War. Worth noting, they've got Korea listed as 1950 to 1955, Vietnam noted as 1964 to 1975, but here in the Gulf War, 1990, and they've got it listed as ongoing. Likewise, just adjacent, we have the We Will Remember Somerset, PA, New York, Washington, D.C. monument. This is a monument to those who were in law enforcement, firefighters, emergency workers, military personnel, etc., not just those who have passed away during the 9/11 attacks, but also those who served and survived. And likewise, just here next to those two monuments in the alcove, this 1,200-pound Malini bell, constructed in 1893, was housed in the bell tower of the Bradley County Courthouse until 1960. So as you can see right here, this bell right here is 1,200 pounds, was created in 1893 and hung in the original courthouse. Definitely a lot of monuments out here at the courthouse. It is a beautiful courthouse, by the way. For those of you who are into horticulture, there's quite a bit to see. On the other side of the plaza, we have this is the Veterans of Foreign Wars monument. It's got the names of the men of Bradley County who gave their lives in the Second World War. This one is dedicated strictly to World War II. Quite a few names on it, unfortunately. And just across, we have this monument dedicated to the men of Bradley County who gave their lives in the service during the First World War. It looks like there's only a little bit left of the immediate downtown area that we haven't checked out yet. But before we head over there, I do want to take a quick stroll down here. There looks like there's a few other things that are definitely worth taking a look at. Right across the street is the historic Bank of Cleveland. As you can see, this building has been here for a while. It looks like it was the Flower Brothers building, built in 1911. But it has certainly turned into something besides the Flower Brothers building now. I am definitely going to have to check that out on the way back up the street, because I can already see there's quite a few historical items in there worth taking a look at. Actually, I'm now noticing that just across the street from the Flower Brothers building, over there is the Tipton Flower House, established in 1890. Currently hosting the Berry Engineers and the Epperson Allison Homes companies. But I'm willing to bet that the Flower House and building are not a coincidence. I want to make sure to get you a better view of the Tipton, Flower House. Certainly reflects the Victorian era. Very good shape. I've seen a lot of houses from this era that have been turned into museums that are nowhere near as good a shape as this one is. Now, the fact that there's a engineering firm and a home construction firm housed inside probably have something to do with the condition that it's in. Probably goes without saying that this building was also placed on the historic registry. It is absolutely gorgeous. We are back across the street at the Bank of Cleveland building, the Flower Brothers building, built in 1911 by William H. and John B. Flower, restored in 1988 by the Bank of Cleveland. Of course, it is on the Register of Historic Places, but looking in, some beautiful pieces in here. I know it's kind of hard to see with the reflection of the mirror, the reflection of the window, and I apologize, but I can't tell if that's a piano or a harpsichord right there, but it is definitely a classic next to this beautiful wooden staircase going upstairs. And you certainly don't find things like that very often anymore. Right next door, and this isn't really pointed out by anything, but just an observation, a gorgeous, looks like marble building right next door. Looks like it's the home loan center of the Bank of Cleveland. We have the Terra Running Company across the street next to the Cleveland Lodge Masonic Temple, which is obviously a staple in most larger villages and towns. Somewhat interesting that of all the businesses that are open today, it's the running business that stays open while everything else closes, including restaurants and cafes and things like that. Go figure. Also worth noting, I didn't get it on camera, which may be a good thing. I just witnessed a drug deal taking place in front of the county courthouse. So if you are a fan of irony, there you go. Also, there is a golden doodle. Hello, golden doodle. That is a lot more fun than a drug deal. Well, for me at least. We have a sign right here for the Cleveland Coffee Market, Treats and Gifts Downtown, and leading us on our way, our path of coffee beans, which makes it a lot easier to figure out. Might have to see if they're open. Cleveland Coffee and Market. Come on in, we're open. But are they? Why, yes they are. And because caffeine is very important, kids, I've just secured myself a cinnamon brown sugar latte. And while we wait, we'll take a look around. Well, right off the bat, I see they have stroop waffles, which are just absolutely amazing. Spaceballs. Outer Planet Pizza Chips. Spaceballs.
Oh shit. There goes the planet.
Looks like you could take the experience home as well with both coffee and tea and cutting boards. So you can cut up your tea bags. I didn't tell you to do it, but... Autumn in New York, Grandpa's Pipe, and some water bottles. And to quote a mutual friend, piping hot caffeinated beverage secured. Let's be on our way. Now, while it's always disappointing to have most of the town closed down when we do a little Splorin, if a store, restaurant, cafe, business is going to be open, a local coffee shop is a good one to be open. And if I'm being entirely honest, there is a certain beauty to having the entire area to yourself. You do get a very good view as to what the city has to offer, normally at least, without a whole lot of people being in the way. And to be entirely frank, it gets weird sometimes when people stare at you as you walk around talking to yourself in public, especially on a downtown city street. So, you know, having the place to yourself, that's an up point too. And in case you're curious, it's fantastic. There's a sign on that wall that says Indigo Cafe is now open. Let's see if it really is now open. Just goes to show you can't trust signs. And so, from the beautiful city of Cleveland, Tennessee, I wish you and yours well. And if you have a chance, I'd certainly appreciate a little thumbs up. Maybe hit the subscribe button. And most of all, I'd make a request for you to join us again next time when we do just a little Splorin.